The world I'd always lived in suddenly eaten up by a yellow much brighter than Mrs. Fevereau's Hummer, and black letters floating in it, swelling, getting larger. Link Belt. Then Gandalf began to scream too, and the flashback, what Dr. Kamen would have called a recovered memory, I suppose, was gone. Until that afternoon in October 4 years ago, I hadn't known dogs could scream. I broke into a lurching, crabwise run, pounding the sidewalk with my red crutch. I'm sure it would have appeared ludicrous to an onlooker, but no one was paying any attention to me. Monica Goldstein was kneeling in the middle of the street beside her dog, which lay in front of the Hummer's high boxy grill. Her face was white above her forest green uniform, from which a sash of badges and medals hung. The end of this sash was soaking in a spreading pool of Gandalf's blood. Mrs. Fevereau half jumped and half fell from the Hummer's ridiculously high driver's seat. Ava Goldstein came running from the front door of the Goldstein house, crying her daughter's name. Mrs. Goldstein's blouse was half-buttoned. Her feet were bare. "Don't touch him, honey. Don't touch him," Mrs. Fevereau said. She was still holding her cigarette, and she puffed nervously at it. Monica paid no attention. She stroked Gandalf's side. The dog screamed again when she did. It was a scream. And Monica covered her eyes with the heels of her hands. She began to shake her head. I didn't blame her. Mrs. Fevereau reached out for the girl but changed her mind. She took 2 steps back, leaned against the high side of her Hummer, and looked up at the sky. Mrs. Goldstein knelt beside her daughter. "Honey, oh honey, please don't." Gandalf lay in the street in a pool of his spreading blood, howling. And now I could also remember the sound the crane had made, not the meep, meep, meep it was supposed to make. Its backup warning had been broken, but the juddering stutter of its diesel engine and the sound of its treads eating up the earth. "Get her inside, Ava," I said. "Get her in the house." Mrs. Goldstein got an arm around her daughter's shoulders and urged her up. "Come on, honey, come inside." "Not without Gandalf." Monica was 11 and mature for her age, but in those moments she had regressed to 3. "Not without my doggie." Her sash, the last 3 inches now sodden with blood, thwapped against the side of her skirt, and a long line of blood spattered down her calf. "Monica, go in and call the vet," I told her. "Say Gandalf's been hit by a car. Say he has to come right away. I'll stay with your dog while you do." Monica looked at me with eyes that were more than grief-stricken, more than shocked. They were crazy. I knew that look well. I'd seen it often in my own mirror. "Do you promise? Big swear, mother's name?" "Big swear, mother's name. Go on." She went with her mother, casting one more look back over her shoulder and uttering